Sha la 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 la. Shoo 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 la. Ba da ba da ba da. Today on the Giselle Trujillo show, we welcome revolutionary guest Rock Wilk, singer, musician, writer, playwright, and actor. Hey! How are you, Rock?
Good, how you doing?
Good, what's happening?
Nothing.
It's so good to see you.
Good.
What's going on? Today I have a really special guest that I want to share with all of you. His name is Rock Wilk. Rock Wilk, welcome to the Giselle Trujillo show. It is
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's so great to have you here with me this moment to share with all of us. We're gonna get to know you in depth. I'm really excited.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Let me turn this off.
Okay. Can you see me?
Yeah, can you see me?
I can see you. You're dark now.
Is this more better?
That's, I think, a little better, yes.
You know what, let me turn a different light on so I don't have this light is going to be better. Hold on.
No worries. Cool.
More better.
More better. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Hugs to you. How you feeling? That's your apartment you're in? I like all the character on the
Oh yeah,
walls.
my grandmother's painting. Beautiful old painting. I have a lot of beautiful old art in this apartment.
That's gorgeous.
And so my grandmother had these paintings here in like 1920 when she first came to this country, you know. So this
Well,
stuff
where was
has
your
been
grandmother from, Rock?
Say what?
Sorry to interrupt you. Where was your grandmother from?
She came here from Russia.
Russia. Okay, cool.
And she came here by herself when she was 7 years old. Her family was in a concentration camp. So she escaped somehow, and she somehow got to this country by herself at 7 years old.
How?
Oh, you know what? What happened was she got disconnected from her family. They got taken away in a truck, but she wasn't able to get on the truck, so they left her there. So actually, when she got to this country, she was mad about that. She finally found her sister years later. Her sister wound up in California, and she never spoke to her because she was pissed off that they took her sister and they didn't take her.
Wow, so your grandmother lived through that. That's I can't even think of what that would be like, you know? That's just
Me either. I have no idea.
I can't get there, you know? It's just like, wow, we have it so easy these days, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I can't get there because that would be too much. I don't know what I would do at 7 years old, you know. You're trying to survive, and how? Who do you stick to? What family do you go with? You know you're in danger and you're just trying to survive. I mean, that is crazy. Did you ever talk to your grandmother in details about it? Did you ever have the opportunity?
She didn't talk about it at all.
Oh, really? Oof. I don't blame her.
But she was the most joyful, she was a crazy woman. And she had so much strength. And I used to think, like, I can't even imagine how powerful that woman is, you know. To have endured what she endured, you know, like... And, you know, I meet a lot of people who are survivors of the Holocaust. You know, they're usually, like, really joyful people. I think they're so grateful to be alive and just so grateful to be here. And I just think to myself, I can't even imagine who they are, you know, like, that shit is like something beyond any kind of reality that I can even imagine, you know.
I know, it's endurance. It's just like, yeah, you know, it's unfortunately it is a form of endurance, and it takes you, I guess, to a different level of survival. And we can only imagine, right? We can only imagine, because
That's all we do.
okay, yeah, you don't know until you're there. It's one of
Right.
those situations where you live or you die, and you don't know which way it's gonna go. Everything is so unpredictable. The people, you don't know who to trust, especially in the Holocaust. You don't know. They might have tricked you into saying something, and then they would have like, oh, you're Jewish. You know what I mean? Some crazy
Right.
shit like that, and you just don't know. It's crazy,
You
crazy,
know,
crazy.
you just have to have faith. Sometimes you just have to have faith that,
Yeah,
people are who they appear to be, but often they're not.
right.
I guess.
So what's going on with you, brother? I went. Thank you so much for inviting me to the opening of your show you played the other night. It was so good. Brooklyn Quartet. Quartet, sorry. Brooklyn Quartet. Exciting. Rock, I couldn't believe it was hard for me to focus at some point. Well, it was hard for me to focus because I was like so impressed by your talents. I couldn't believe how you jumped from one character to another all by yourself. So you were amazing. Thank you so much for that. We
Thank
enjoyed it a
you.
lot.
Thank you so much. It's fun. I love it. I love doing it.
Really? How does it feel? Like, I want to know. I was sitting there watching you, and I was just like, how does he do it? How do you remember? I mean, you're a true professional, of course, but how do you split yourself into one, two, three characters and then put emotions in each character? And how do you do that? How do you do that live?
Well, I think that, well, it's really four characters, including Queen, the narrator, too. So
That's
I
right.
think that I just, I try to really almost channel these people. Like I created these characters, and then I spend a lot of time getting to know who they are. Like I do a lot of character study. I literally sit at home sometimes for hours and just write down who these people are. Like I try to get to know them. Like outside of the play, where do they hang out? What do they do? Do they go to the movies? What kind of music do they listen to? Like who are these people? And the more I get to know them, the more the dialogue becomes organic, and it just kind of flows. And I don't know. I guess I do kind of have a gift of being able to memorize stuff, but I think it's because I really try to get to know them. Like I really try to have an intimate relationship with all the characters, so that they're like my people. So I think like if you take the people in your life who you really love, you could probably have a conversation with yourself with them. You could create something like that because you know who they are. You know what they want to talk about. You kind of know how they're going to respond. Like if you talk about your boyfriend and you create a scenario, you probably kind of already know how he's going to respond to certain things that you say. And so I get to know these people so well that I feel like I know, even though, it's interesting, I know how to create it, but then every time I do it, it feels like it's happening in that exact moment. Like I think the better I get to know them, the more spontaneous it can be. You know what I mean? It's like I do. I feel like I channel them. I don't know how else to put it. I feel like I kind of channel who these people are, and so it happens immediately, like right now. Like we're all experiencing this for the first time, every single time. And I think it's really because I really, truly, I don't just write them. I really try to explore who they are.
Man, that's so impressive. Look, that's hard work right there. That's total dedication and complete. It's complex. It's complex because you're not doing just one character. You're jumping from one character to another and successfully doing your lines and falling in character. And I don't know. I was very impressed. I was very, very impressed, Rock.
Well, it is a lot of work because also, every word that you heard was scripted. Like I don't ad lib anything on stage. I do all the work before, so that when I get on stage, it's the same words every night. But what's interesting is the show. It's what I love most about live theater. Like the show feels completely different every night because of the energy of the audience or how I feel or whatever. but every single word is scripted. So it's 2 hours and 15 minutes script. And I have to be really, committed to those words in order for me, I feel like in order for me to really get the most out of the play and to really be able to communicate what I want to communicate well, I have to be dedicated to that script. And then I have to be able to make it spontaneous every single night. And I think I do because it is completely, it's like, what I love about theater is that it's like we have a relationship every night. And what happens in the theater that particular night, nobody else only the people in the space are going to experience what happens that night. So what happens in there, it's ours. Like what happened opening night, you and I know what happened. The other people who were there, we all know, but nobody else knows. And then the other nights it was different, It was the same words, but it was a completely different experience. So it's a lot of work because in order for me to be able to create that, I have to know those words cold. Like I got to know those words. And so it's a lot of work. Plenty of actors do plays, but I'm doing it all by myself. 2.5 hours all by myself. It's a lot, And it's hard to look at one guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. No, what did you say?
It's hard to look at. I think it's hard to look at one person on stage for over 2 hours. So I have to make sure that it's compelling the whole time. And it's a challenge.
I don't know. I still don't know how you do it because through the whole show, I was like, okay, when is he gonna sit down and take a break? Okay, you took your break during intermission and stuff, but it was like nonstop. It was like explosive from one corner to another. I think you started sitting down a little bit at the end of the show mostly, but I was like, how? I was like very confused. I was like, how is he doing this, How long do you practice? I'm just so curious.
I rehearse. Giselle, I have no life. Like, I just rehearse. I work all day, every day. I work at night. I work this, I don't think people really can comprehend what it requires to do that. Like, I'm not saying that I'm anything special or whatever, but I think anybody, if they're committed to it, can do something like that. Maybe they can't do what I'm doing, but they can do whatever they do. But what it takes is hour upon hour upon hour of work. I mean, I work all day, every day. I get no breaks. I don't, I have no, really, I mean, it sounds kind of messed up, but I really do have no life outside of this work because that is really what it requires. So there's no real balance, what I mean? It's just work. I mean, I write every day, and I'm exploring the story and it's almost like an onion to me. I just keep peeling layers away and trying to get deeper and deeper and deeper because I want, human beings are so complex, our relationships are so complicated and we're such complicated beings. So I want to serve that all the time. And so then combined with, writing the dialogue and then having to, I feel like I have to get the dialogue in my body in order for me to be able to express it properly. So I'm excited to memorize it because I feel like once it's in me, I'm like this vessel. And then I can really share it, as opposed to, I do readings. I did readings for 2 years of the play where I read it. Well, I didn't read all the time, but it's a much different experience when I'm reading because when it's coming out of my body, it's like a whole different thing. And it requires a tremendous amount of work, it's a lot, it's a lot. It is. But I love it, and I'm grateful for it, but it ain't easy. And it's not always fun, I'll tell you that. Sometimes it's like, damn, I just want to, do something, just hang out. But I don't. I run, I just take care of myself. That's the other thing, I really have to take care of myself because I can't, I have to be healthy. I have to have all of myself available to do the kind of work that I do. So I have to be really dedicated in so many different ways, my nutrition, my rest, the way I live my life has to be really, really strict and very committed to a certain type of lifestyle to be able to
endure.
It's like an endurance sport, and I have to have all of my mind with me all the time. Like if I don't sleep right or whatever, I can't focus, I have to be able to really, so I'm very focused about it too,
Man.
So
It shows. I want you to know that it shows, you know. All your hard work, it shows. And we picked up on that. I was like, whew, it's, I can't, oh, I can't. It's just too much work. I know, I can tell. I mean, you're,
But I love it too. I love it because
of course.
like what we're experiencing now is what I get from it. Like I get to share it with you, and it means everything to me. You know, it means everything. It really does. It sounds maybe trite or whatever, you know, because everybody goes, "Oh, my art is everything to me," but it really does. It really does mean everything to me. And obviously, I write about things that matter to me. So, you know, I do the work because I really want to share it with you, and I really want to have, like what we're doing now is the reason I do the work. I want to create work that, I always say I create work that disrupts things. Like I try to create art that makes people stop and kind of think and kind of be like a little messed up, you know. And but also, what I the bottom line of what I do is I want to create dialogue. I want people to talk about it, you know. I think that's what people don't do, and I think that's the most important thing is we need to have dialogue. And so I try to write about things that I feel people don't feel so comfortable about talking about. But because it's art, because they're coming to see a play, it's much easier than going to see a social activist screaming at them and standing up on a stage going, you know, telling them shit, as opposed to art. Like, oh, I went to a play, and then, damn, there's some issues we need to talk about, you know. So what we're doing now is the reason I do it, so we can talk, you know?
Yeah.
And bring it out.
I get it. And that is certainly, you know, when we left, that's exactly how we felt. We were like, huh. You know, it brings attention. And I love that form of art. I just want to say thank you because I totally appreciate that form of art. It's a form of art that educates, opens up, and it kind of supports an idea. You know what I mean? Like you don't feel like you're alone in a train of thought. Like we listen to the news and we can say anything we want behind closed doors, you know, this and that and that and that and that. But when you're in public and you're in that kind of setup, you know, that kind of environment, an artistic environment, it's almost like you kind of get away with saying exactly how you feel, and it won't come off derogatory, it won't come off offensive, it won't come off as a weapon, you know. It'll come off as something like the way you did it, which I really appreciate. It's just you took so many subjects and some that were very touching, and you brought light to it, and you were explosive in the way you communicated those emotions of your characters and the impact it had in them. You know what I mean? So I like that. I really do. I appreciate that form of communication because I feel it's okay. It's almost okay to talk about it if you discuss. It's a peaceful way, actually. You know? I mean, if we can take each president and sit them down, or all the terrorists, and we sit them down together and we discuss what is bothering you, or put them in a play perhaps, maybe we wouldn't have so many terrorist attacks. Maybe we wouldn't have so many casualties. Maybe people will get along a little bit more because it's communication, like you say, dialogue. Why not get all these crazy people together who, not only crazy, I'm crazy, but all these people who want to hurt and take out an entire mass of people for no reason, just because they're angry, just because they have something going on, you know. That's great. I get it, but do a lot of people get that, you know? And I wish your show needs to go all over the place so people can actually get that message and at least take the structure of what you're doing and implement it towards something that maybe hurts them, bothers them, and discuss it. You know, like it's okay to talk about it. You know?
That's what it's for. I mean, I feel like, you know, I personally feel like as an artist, that's our responsibility to take things that are not easy for people to discuss and turn them into this beautiful art. You know, turn them into a play or some kind of visual art or music or whatever, and it becomes more palatable for people to receive, you know. And then it almost gives people permission to talk about it and to listen too. Like that's the thing, people don't know how to listen. You know, my plays are like, you know, sometimes it takes people a couple of minutes to catch up to me because it's furious, you know, it's like fast and it's moving. But I do that on purpose because I want people, I like require people to listen. Like I'm looking at you in the audience going, stay with me, pay attention, you know, like, because otherwise you're going to get bored. I create this language and this dialogue that's not so easy to, like, you have to sit at the edge of your seat and like listen and like, what is he saying?
You
know?
have to pay attention.
And then all of a sudden it becomes easy, you know, it becomes like people walk out of my play talking really fast, you know, because they're kind of into that language now, you know. But I do it on purpose. I do it because I want your attention. You know, like I really want all of you. I want every drop of you because I'm trying to share this with you. And I also want all of you. Like I want us to have this beautiful shared experience. But the only way we can do it is if we create this intense environment, you know. And yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. I feel like one thing I've learned, you know, I do Q&As after a lot of my shows, and I've learned from them that people who sometimes don't communicate very well or don't feel like they want to talk about certain things, I mean, at some of the Q&As in my shows, people talk about the most intimate things about their own lives because I feel like I've given them permission because I talk about intimate things in the play. I mean, there are a couple of scenes that are very intimate and very kind of difficult, you know, but they're beautiful. You know, it's like everything, that's what's so beautiful about life. So much happens and we can go to the theater and look at it and we can cry together, we can laugh together, we can be angry together, but we're just at a play. It's okay. You know, it's like we just saw somebody get raped or we saw somebody get shot, a little baby or stuff. You know, like we see these horrible things, but you know what happens? I mean, horrible things happen in life every day, you know. But we have to somehow find our joy. You know, we have to find, you know, life is about love. That's what it is, you know. And we have to somehow find that. And that's what's so great about doing it in this kind of venue or in this kind of genre or whatever, is creating an environment where it's palatable and allows us to say, you know what, life is kind of messed up, you know, but it's beautiful too. And so if I could talk to you about horrible things that happened to these people that I created, or maybe they happened to you, or maybe they happened to me, what's better than that we're together talking about it, you know, and kind of, in a sense, taking care of each other, like supporting one another. That's what art is. You know, I tell people, you know, my whole life is kind of about taking all this tragedy and all this crazy shit that happens in the world and turning it into beautiful art. And then that moves us forward, I believe. You know, like for me it does. Like when I go see something that moves me, because that's why we go to the theater. We want to feel something. We want to be moved, you know, right?
Right.
So I feel like if I do that, I feel like I'm making some kind of contribution. You know, like it makes me feel good because we all should make some kind of contribution. You know, look what you're doing. You know, your website covers so much stuff. You're like massive. You know, you're doing a lot of stuff. And so it might not seem like that to you, but it seems like that to a lot of people. I'm sure they look at your stuff and they're like, they know everything from the news to art to what kind of clothes to buy. They know everything. That's an epic contribution to people. You know, you can go to your website and learn a lot of stuff. People can come to my play and feel like they can talk about things that maybe they don't feel so comfortable about in other places, you know. I want to create a safe place for people, but I also want to disrupt their lives. I want to disturb them and make them stop for a second, because a lot of what's happening is not cool, is not okay. And it's the only way the only way issues of race and privilege and all this kind of stuff are going to change is if we change it. It's not just going to magically change, you know.
It's up to us.
Yeah. The sky is not going to look a certain way one night and all of a sudden there's going to be no white privilege, you know. It's like, it's got to change, you know. And I also feel like, you know, people need to acknowledge the things that are, you know, like very often people say, okay, I get it, life is so hard, why do we have to talk, why can't we just make happy art, you know? And I'm like, What's the point? You know, if we don't talk about it, it ain't gonna change. You know, and so anyway, blah blah blah.
No, I'm listening to you because it brings me. I have actually a really interesting question. I'm listening to you as you speak. I mean, what gave you? That is such like a twisted, innovative, interesting way of interacting with your audience and your audience interacting with you, because you know we're in there listening to you. Like you say, it's very captivating because you did. Usually I will fall asleep within the first 20 minutes at any theater play.
Yeah.
I will sit there and I'm like, oh, I fall asleep like that. It could be a movie, it could be a play, whatever it is, 20 minutes, I'm out. Now with you, I was just like, you kept everything really interesting, because I knew if I drop a little bit and if I laid back a little bit, I was going to get lost completely in the show.
Yeah.
So that's a very genius, intensive way of keeping your audience entertained, you know, during your show, because someone like me, I'm like your perfect candidate. If I'm bored and I fall asleep, then you know there's something wrong in your work, not me, you know. But you know,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm being honest. I'm not being, you know.
I feel that's responsibility. Like if you're bored, that is an epic fail on my part. Like you're the one who's paying money to come to the theater to see the show. If I bore you, I should give you all your money back. That's how I feel about it.
But that's well, you know what? It's great. Not everyone feels the way you do, though. You know, you'll go to watch a show and it's so boring, and they know they can see you sleeping, and they're still like doing their thing. There's no emotion in it. But we knew, my boyfriend and I knew that he wasn't even talking to me. He wasn't. I was like, huh? And he's like, shh. You know, we're both kind of like paying attention, because we knew if we didn't pay attention for 1 second, we were done. Out of the entire play would have been a loss, because then I knew at that point, I understood everything has to do with everything in here. Everything is intertwining with everyone and everything. And I was like, 1 second that I'm done. So I didn't close my eyes, not one time. I was paying attention to you. I was watching you. I was like, it wasn't predictable, because I didn't know what you were going to say next. It was total, just very organic and very explosive and very, like, I can't explain it, but it goes to everything you're saying. So I'm wondering, is that a technique that you use, that you came up with, or you genuinely just started to write like this? Or is this something really how you feel? Or is this an actual technique? Because I was like, this is crazy how you got my attention for so long. Like that.
You know what's funny is a friend of mine, an actor who's a friend of mine, once said to me, you should teach her technique. You know, it's like there's a technique in theater called the Meisner technique. He's like, you should teach the ROCK WILK technique. But to me, it's not, okay, so maybe it's my style, because it is kind of stylized, but really it's like I have this sense of urgency. Like I feel like when I get on stage, I look at the audience at the beginning of the show and I'm like, okay, I have this problem that I gotta solve, and I can't do it without you, and so we're gonna do it together. So you ready? Take a deep breath. Let's go. And I feel like I can't do it without you, you know, so I have like a sense of urgency, and so it's really my need to share with you that causes this form of
the ROCK WILK technique.
Yeah, it's like, so I don't think of it as a technique as much as it's, you know, because I'm kind of like that in real life too. Like people who know me, I kind of have a lot of energy, and so I think it's really, I just feel like I need to be there. Like I look at the audience and I'm like, if I don't tell you the story, I will fucking die. Like I will die if I don't tell you the story. That's how I feel.
Oh my God,
I feel like
you're so funny.
I feel like I need to do this, and you need to listen to me, and that's how I feel. So I'm like, please, you know, like let's do this, you know, and I feel, and I'm excited about it too. I'm because I love doing it so much. Like I love what I do. I love it, and so I want to be there and I want to share it. And so it's, maybe that's what's, I think anybody who cares about what they say, I think anybody who cares about what they do is compelling, there's plenty of cynical people who don't think anything is compelling, but I think you can't help but be drawn in by somebody who really sincerely cares about what they're saying. Like I ain't trying to create something that I don't care about. I'm not trying to figure out what's going to get me to Broadway or make this a movie. I'm trying to tell a story that I really care about, and it's about this moment right now. I'm not thinking about anything else, As a result, I'm not such a great business person, but I'm all about the craft and I'm all about the story. It's the story. It's the message. It's the like, if I don't tell it properly and if I don't explore it properly, then what's the point? Then I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting your time. And I'm spending a lot more time than you putting this together, so I ain't going to waste my time, that's for sure. Right. And so as a result, and I'm also so incredibly grateful that anybody shows up. I'm like, oh my God, you came to my play. Like, I'm giving you everything. Like, you're going to get it. You're going to get all of it. And because I'm so grateful that people come. So it's a combination of a lot of things,
You're one of a kind then, because there's so many. You have what many artists should, if they want to be an artist, they are lacking so much of it, which is dedication, professionalism. I mean, people forget about. People forget that artists are supposed to also have a form of professionalism. You know what I mean? They think, oh, they're just artists that can do whatever they want. No, you have to be professional, and being professional is being dedicated and following through with what you say you're gonna do. And a lot of artists lack that. They're like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I want to do this, and I'm like, where is it? It's like all talk and I don't see anything. What's going on? It's like, if you have a session, you show up on time. If you're going to practice, you're going to practice, and you do the best that you can. And meaning, not giving 1,000,000% is giving 1,000,000,000%. It's like 1,000,000% is no longer good enough. You have to give, it's like you have to sweat blood at that point if you really want to get across properly. And I think you do that, and you said it, you love what you do. I always say, find something you love to do and you're passionate about so you can do it well. Because I feel like if you have a job, you do your job, you do it well. But the dedication only goes so far, So you have to pick something you truly love. So you've always been very dedicated and you've always demanded, because it takes a strong character to demand people's attention.
Well,
Were you always like this?
Well, actually, I think maybe as a person, but I was in the music business for a long time before I was doing this, and I was much more kind of a deferential musician. Like, I was just more kind of introspective about it. It was more in me. And also, when I was in the music business, I was like, I started as a jazz musician, so I was playing because I love jazz and I love music. And then I got into the pop music world, and I was really just doing what I thought would make a record deal or get me work as a producer, or I sang backgrounds for a lot of people, but it wasn't spiritually filling me in any way. Even though I love music so much, but the work itself wasn't serving who I am as a person, because who I am is an activist, and I do care about all the things that I write in my plays about. So I think. I just, like I said before, I think, it's not that I demand people's attention. I try to command people's attention by being grateful that they're there and allowing me the opportunity to talk about it. And then I feel like, because you're allowing me to talk to you, I'm going to make sure that I'm prepared. Like, I'm going to do everything. I agree with you. I don't like going to see theater where people just kind of are showing me how incredibly gifted they are, because there are so many incredibly gifted people. But if you don't prepare, you don't do the work, if you don't give me something clear and it doesn't even have to be clear, like so linear or whatever, like easily understood, because I do believe that the audience sometimes should have to work hard, but at least your intention should be clear. Like, I want to know that you did that shit on purpose. You know, like, I'm not showing up to some, like, that's why, you know, I guess it's a matter of taste. Like, you know, I'm not somebody who's so into, improvisational, let's just see what happens kind of work. Even though, you know, there certainly are artists who are geniuses at that. I'm not, you know, like when you think of somebody like Robin Williams, the way he was, or George Carlin, or, you know, people who go up there and do stuff like off the cuff. And sometimes it all does become this incredibly cohesive piece of work. But most people are just lazy. You know, like most people just go up there and just do anything. And I'm kind of offended by that. You know, I'm like, yo, you know what? At least intend to do something. Like, map it out, spend the time. If I'm coming to see you, give me something. You know,
Have
so
a focal point.
yeah, I want to know that you intended everything that you're doing. You know, unless you do so much preparation that your improvisational work is just pure genius. You know, like like Robin Williams. I think of him a lot. You know, I mean, you know, I got to see him perform quite a bit, and but he worked so hard at being who he was. Like he was a genius, but he was also so well educated and schooled about the world. You know, not formally educated, but like he put in so much work into being who he was that by the time he got on stage, he was a genius. You know, but for me, I have to do everything that I do. I intend, and then you know things happen. You know, I mean, live theater, you don't know what's going to happen. So, like I said before, every word, every movement, all the stuff that I do is intentional. And then a lot of stuff happens along the way. There's a lot of magic that happens with theater that we don't know what's going to happen. But the foundation of it is completely intentional. The foundation is like, I know what you're going to get. You're probably going to get more, but at the baseline of it, I know what you're going to get. And that's my responsibility. If I don't do that, then it's just kind of like masturbating, you know. So they just write for themselves, and it's their catharsis or whatever. But not for me, you know. Like I write for you,
Right.
and I perform for you. I do everything for the audience. It's like that's what it's all about to me. That's what brings us together, you know.
I love it. I love it. No, it is so amazing everything that you're saying, because it's like I'm smiling because it's really, I understand everything you're saying, and I just feel like, wow, I think you're a genius, because I was just like, I don't know how he's doing this, but he's doing it. And then when you're telling me you've memorized everything, and I'm just like, how? It is really twisted in the way that, it's twisted in a positive way. I love what you're doing, because I feel like this could change a lot. This can change a lot in the way we think and the way we communicate, you know, and it's such a fun way. It's almost like going to your play, you go unarmed. You disarm everyone, right? And then everyone kind of understands that you're leading this, and they're gonna listen to you. And I don't know, I just think it's amazing. I think it's a genius way of putting together so much emotion and topics, you know, conversation pieces, and that's whatever you're doing works amazing. That's an art form of itself. And I just feel like, wow, I'm so impressed. I really am impressed. And it shows that you put in so much hard work. I know, and I'm sure a lot of other people in the audience felt the same way. Everyone, you can drop a pin and you can hear the pin, because everyone was paying attention to you. And I would, you know, kind of look around, and people were just all eyes on you. So that's really important, you know. And I think, you may not think you're a genius, but doing what you did, to me, was a genius, you know. And dedication, hard work, and it's amazing.
It's a lot of hard work.
It
a lot
is.
of hard work, and it's a lot of love. You know, like I love it. It makes it easier. It makes it easy to work hard when you love it. Like you said, if you know, like I feel like the first time I started doing theater work, I literally thought to myself, "Oh shit, this is why I was born."
Wow.
Like I knew it, and so I'm lucky. You know,
How
I'm
old
lucky
were
that I
you?
have that. Huh?
How old were you when you found out about theater and writing? Because you're a playwright.
Yeah. I was over 40 already. Like, I had been in the music business for 20 years.
So what? I just turned 40.
So
You're older than me?
And that's all we'll say about that.
Oh, say why? Okay, all right. Well, that's...
But it took me a long time because, you know, I had worked in music for a long, long time.
Wow. Wow. So impressive. Now, let me ask you something. What, you know, I obviously, you know, I asked you, I was like, oh, Rock, I wanted to tape some of it so bad. And I didn't because I respected you said to me, no, I don't want to do that. So I respected that. But now I'm thinking, damn, I really want to share with the world. And I can't put it in my own words. I really can't. I can only say, hey, you know, you need to sit through a Rock WILK, you know, piece so you can understand what goes on. I can't really explain much of it, you know. So I guess it is intimate. We'll stay with that. We share that moment together. But I really wish you can at some point, you know, maybe record it and sell it or share it with people or take your play, keep it going.
I recorded the last show that I did.
Oh, you did?
I did a really bad recording just so I could have it to look at it myself. And I put together like little clips that I'm putting out on YouTube and stuff like that. Just little promotional clips for it so that the play can keep moving. But I do want to record it, but I want it to be recorded. See, the thing is, live theater is hard to translate to film, you know what I mean? And so and I'm really funny about that. Like I feel like the energy in a live space is so unique. So for me, I've seen some theater translate those, so I think you have to have like more than one camera. You know, you have to have a couple of different cameras. It has to be like shot like a film or like an HBO special. You have to try to capture, and it also should be with an audience, you know. So it's hard, but I do, you know, I will. And I also wrote a screenplay for Brooklyn Quartet, so I'm hoping to make it into a film. And actually it has more characters and more scenarios, like more stuff happens. You meet, like, you know, the character Esther Alvarez, you meet her mom. She's in the movie. There are a couple of other characters that are important in the film. But I do want to record these because I agree. I feel like, again, I don't want to sound, you know, like I'm some special person, but I do feel, and I feel like this about everybody, so I can say it about me. I feel like everybody's work is completely unique unto them. Like nobody, like people sometimes say, I want to do what you do. I'm like, you could never possibly do what I do. You can't, because I can't do what you do. Like you can only do what you do. I can do what I do. You know, people are like, show me how to do that. I'm like, I can't, there are certain things I can't, you know, it's like nobody can sing like Christina Aguilera or Stevie Wonder or Bruce Springsteen, you know, because they sing like themselves, you know. So you can try to sound like them, but it's always going to sound like it ain't you, you know.
Right.
So I feel like, so I do want to record it for that reason too. I want people to, I do want to create this unique, tangible thing that exists that people can go look at. But at the same time, you know, especially one of the reasons I'm not recording this now is because I feel like it still has a long way to go, and I don't want to give it away. You know, like I don't want people to know the ending or know what happens. It's still early, and even though I've been working on it for 2.5 years, it's still really early in its development. It's got a long way to go. So I probably won't make a real recording of it for a couple of years. I'm going to wait, you know. I might put out these little clips. And what I am interested in doing is I'm interested in making video, like 30 or 60-second promotional videos that are really interesting and creative to try to promote the energy of the piece and just the basic feeling of it, like stuff that really is not even on stage, that maybe, you know, is outdoors or something like that, like something that creates the energy. But the play itself, I want to wait. And I like when people come in that they have no idea. Like I love performing for people who've never seen me before. Like they have no idea what they're about to see. That I love. You know, I think that's, I love going to see something that I've never seen, that I have no idea, I have no preconceived notions about it. Just like people saying, yo, that thing, like, wait till you go, you're not going to believe it. I I love going to something like that, you know, or stumbling across something where I've never, you know, just a
Experience
total
before.
surprise. Yeah, just a
A
total
new
surprise.
experience.
That's what I liked about you. You know, it's like I don't even remember how I found your website, but I found it probably through Cynthia.
Yes.
You know, Cynthia
Shout outs to
Caballero.
Cynthia.
So I found your website a long time ago, and I was like, wow, like she's not even on social media. She's nowhere. And look at this. I mean, this thing is like the New York Times. You know, it's like ridiculous. I was so impressed with that because I had never seen it, and it was unlike anything else that I had seen. And I was really impressed that you were like this entrepreneurial spirit, you know, doing it all on your own and differently than everybody else. You know, that's what I like to do. Like nobody's going to compare my work to anybody else. That I know.
Like you say, you're a unique individual. We all are unique individuals.
Right. I think that's why you and I connected because
Absolutely.
you know I look at your work and I can't compare it to anybody. You know, I can't. And it's like plenty of people do stuff like that, and obviously plenty of people do plays and perform. But I think when people come see me, they ain't gonna be able to compare me to anybody. You know, I mean they'll say people's names, but they got nothing to do with me. You know, people can look at your work and go, oh well, that's like you know they'll name some digital magazine or maybe some regular tangible magazine or whatever. But ain't nothing like the work that you're doing, and there's nothing like what I'm doing. So, and that's what we hope for, right? We want to be ourselves.
Absolutely. You know, bringing it back to why you work so hard. This is why I work so hard as well. I'm consumed by what I do because I actually am passionate about it, and I let myself consume because I'm saying consume so the broad of people can understand that that's what it's like. But for me, it's passion and love, and I do this because I love it, and I made that, you know, I sacrificed a lot, and I left a lot of things that I wanted to do just so I can do this. And this is my grain of salt in this world. You know, this world is big yet small at the same time, and it's like we're a lot of people, but we're really not that many people on this planet. So I realized at a young age, you know, that you have to live your own life, that you have to be your own unique individual, you know. And I'm talking about way back when I was like 16, 15, maybe even as close as 12, when I realized, you know what, this is my life. Like, I'm on my own. I'm on my own. I'm not a twin. I'm the only child from my biological parents. And I have other siblings that are my brothers and my sisters, you know. But as far as I'm concerned, we're all individuals. And society paints a very systematic, a very control systematic, cookie cutter type of lifestyle, and I was never about that. I knew I wasn't a cookie cutter. I knew I wasn't gonna go to college just because my parents wanted me to and demanded me to. I did my first semester, and then I left. I was like, I'm done. You know, I paid my own studies, and I knew that's not what I wanted to do. So I knew my biggest education for me, most rewarding for my life, was the experiences around me, which is my own individual life. You know, that to me, interacting with her, with him, with them, you know, to me, this is what gave me, oh wow, gave me ammunition to my life, because I was like, wow, you know, if only people can see that this life is so wonderful, that there is so much for me to learn, that I will never get tired of learning, you know, and for me to share, that I will never get tired of sharing. And so I took everything in my whole life. I just turned 40, so I just, you know, in 2008, I decided to do this, to make all these changes in my life and kind of give back in whichever way I can. And that's why I put together, you know, my digital publication. It took me about 3-4 years to the point that I'm now. And like you say, you work 24/7. It's the same thing with me, where passionate people will never stop working, you know. And so all that work that you see me doing, it's now going to go up to a different degree. I'm just ready to go, you know, and that's the next level for me. I'm going to go back. I'm back into the music industry. I'm going to go back into acting at some point, you know, but I'm just doing everything I want to do. Life is just too short, right? You know?
Yes.
Right? It's just too short.
Speck of time.
So why not do everything you want to do and not live someone else's life? Like you talk about an activist, maybe you and I cannot be together too much because I know the two of us are going to like be, you know, explosion everywhere, you know? But that's the way I think. I think, hey, you have one life, you live your own life, and you do what you want to do. You know, as long as you're not hurting others and being disrespectful, do you, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
But
that's what life is.
That's why we get along. That's why you and I have crossed paths and we're here now, you know, because I feel we have a lot in common. Back to your play, because I'm still there. I'm still at the play. Before I forget, are you taking your play on tour? Are you taking Brooklyn Quartet on tour? I mean, it would be great for you to go all around the world communicating these messages just to get the ball rolling. I feel like your style of art is so unique, Rock, and it's so beautiful, and it is so peaceful. You're the only explosion there. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that can go, your play will go a long way. It's not just, for me, it's not just about the messages that you had in there. For me, it's about the form in which you are sharing a problem, a situation. You know, that's why I called you a genius before, because I do see, it's like you have to see it. It's intense. It's really intense, and I really want the world to see that. I want everyone to go and experience your show at least once.
Well, you know, my end game, my goal is to do this play for the biggest audience possible. Like, I want the whole world to see it. That's what I want, you know, so I don't know, you know, how I'm going to achieve that, but I know I'm going to try. Because, you know, I'm talking about things that I feel like, even when I was a little kid, I was so compelled by all this stuff that I talk about in the play, you know, talking about racism and gender issues and white privilege. I was always aware of, you know, I told my first grade teacher she was racist. So for some reason I was just aware all the time. And so, and anybody who knows me in my life knows that I'm like a real pain in the ass with, like, I always talk about it, and I have like a zero tolerance policy for racism and sexism, and I don't even like when people joke about it, you know, I just don't think it's funny, and I also feel like if we joke about it, it never changes. Like, we could joke about that, you know, like, we're just perpetuating these issues, and so, yeah, I want to perform this for everybody, and what I'm hoping to do, you know, because the play is bookended by the Sean Bell incident of 2006, you know, when he was shot 50 times by the police, and I'm involved with his family, I really want to take this play to places like I want to go to Ferguson, Missouri, and I want to perform it for the people there where Michael Brown was shot. I want to go to Oakland, you know, for the Oscar Grant community. I want to go to Florida. I want to go to do it out in Staten Island. You know, I want to do it everywhere, and I want to perform it for the community, and I want to have discussions after the play where people will come together and talk about, you know, the fact that they're going to see this play that really has nothing specific to do with what happened in their community, but it has everything to do with it because it's about, well, first of all, we haven't even talked about, so the play is about these three kids who grow up together, right? And they're 15 years old, and so Saint and Jamal are two boys, one's white and one's black, and then there's a girl, Esther Alvarez, so it's about their relationships with one another over 20 years and how the world tries to destroy their love for each other, you know? So it's such a common story. I mean, it's the world we live in. Like, if you and I grew up together, you know, let's say you and I met when we were 15 years old in junior high school or whatever, and let's say we fell in love, you know, the world would try to destroy us because you're Latina and I'm white. I mean, your boyfriend is white, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sure that you guys have to, and you guys, just by nature of the world, have to endure things. Now, you're not kids, so it's a little bit different. You're not 15 years old, so you're not being influenced in the same way by the world. Like, you guys, hopefully, at this point, know who you are, so it's gonna be easier for you to get through certain things than what a lot of other people get through, but the truth is that it's hard for us to live in the world because there's so much racism, there's so much privilege that's unacknowledged, especially by people who look like me. Like, white people it's very difficult for them to really acknowledge their privilege and how they get a pass on so many things. Like, people of color have to think about racism all the time because they have no choice, because they might get stopped by the cops. Like, I live in a much safer world than you, because you're a woman, you're not only a woman, but a woman of color. So your life is much different than my life, just by nature. People look at you differently. They have preconceived notions about you that they don't have about me. And I might be a criminal. I might be a total asshole, but my life is so much easier than yours in those ways. And I feel like not only do I want to put these messages out to the world, but I want them to come from me, somebody who looks like me. Like, I think it's easy for people of color to go, there's racism, there's your privilege, but for me to say it is different. It's like, and that's, I think it's just important to acknowledge and to constantly discuss these things. Otherwise, they're never going to change. The world is never, ever going to change. I mean, the fact that Sean Bell was shot 50 times by New York City police officers, the thing is, it's like, he was unarmed. Him and his friends were unarmed. 50 bullets went in one direction and 0 went the other direction. And so why is that? It's because, police officers have the most difficult job of anybody. I mean, every day they leave their house, they might die.
Right.
They might die. So, so why did that happen with Sean Bell? Because they saw a young black male and they were already afraid of him. Just their visceral response. They didn't know anything about him, but they were afraid. They wouldn't have been afraid of me in the same way, right? But they were afraid of Sean Bell and his friends because they were black. That's the only reason. That's where it started from. So the fact that the police started there, they would never have shot me 50 times. Even if I was drunk and going crazy, I never in a million years would have gotten shot 50 times because I'm white. So these are the things that we need to talk about. This, like, why in 2015 do we still have this visceral response towards people of color? Or why do we still look at Latino women in a certain way, or black women, or white women? Like, why do we have these preconceived notions of what we think people are? It creates a fucked up world. I mean, I don't know if I'm supposed to curse on this, so I'm sorry. But
beep. Of course you can. Be yourself.
Okay. It creates a very, very disparate, like, kind of a disconnected world. It's like what happens with Saint and Jamal, or Jamal and Esther in my play. Their relationships are very complicated because there's always this little underlying theme where, like, Esther Alvarez is Latina. Her boyfriend is a white boy named Jamal. He's white. Well, she's always bringing up his whiteness and his privilege. She's a social activist. She's a young kid, but she's very aware. She's really intelligent. And he's like, he's all about the cause, right? He's like, what are you talking about? But they don't understand that it's not about them. It's about the world. It's putting this on them. Like, this kid, he doesn't have to endure half of what his best friend Saint has to endure because Saint is black. Saint's a big black boy. He's a boy, and he's black, and he's big. So the world treats him in a certain kind of way because of what they think. But they don't even know him. They don't know his heart. They don't know his soul. They don't know how good he is. But they treat him in a certain way. When Eric Garner was killed in Staten Island recently, I remember watching that. I looked at that video and I thought to myself, seriously? Like, there were like 7 police officers on top of this guy. Like, you couldn't handcuff him. You had to kill him. Like, you had to put him in a chokehold. 7 of you couldn't somehow get handcuffs on him. You know what I mean? It's like, and why? And the reason is because they looked at this big black male and they were afraid. And they think he's got some kind of superpowers, or some kind of shit like that. It's like, he's just a human being,
Right,
like,
right.
So I looked at that and I just thought, like, we're so, I mean, obviously, look, the world is so much better than it was. We don't have slavery, but still, so many horrible things are happening, and it's still based in race. It's all about racism, you know, and also religious. Like, look at all the terrorism. It's all about religious differences. It's like, you know, we all want. I mean, I look at life like this. We all want the same things. We want to be healthy. We want to be safe. We want to be warm. We want to be fed. We want to be loved. We want to love. We want to be free. You know, we want to be. But you know, but also the difference in our cultures is beautiful. It's like I don't believe it. Like people who say they're colorblind. It's like, well, what are you, blind? Like, how could you be colorblind? You can't tell if somebody's black or white. I mean, we're not colorblind. We need to celebrate the differences in our cultures, but we need to somehow get to a place where we realize that we are all at the inside of us. We're all exactly the same. We want the same things. You know, we just want to be loved, and we want to not be hungry, and we want to be indoors. And why, you know, so that's why I do the work that I do, because I'm like, honestly, I feel like, are we fucking stupid? Like, we're still doing this shit?
Oh,
it's
are.
like,
they
why
are.
Can't we just,
I'm not.
Why, right, but I'm saying, but we as a people.
I know what you're saying.
We as a people, I just feel like why, you know, why? And there's so much anger, and there should be so much anger, you know, like, honestly, if I was a person of color, I don't know if I would be crazy, I think. Like, I would be, the way my sensibility is, I don't know how I would experience the world if I'm so aware of it to begin with, that if I was also subject to it in the same way, I mean, I don't know, you know, that's something I never do in my work. You know, I never try to tell anybody how it feels to be a woman, or how it feels to be black, or how it feels to be Asian or Latina or whatever. I don't know what it feels like. I just know that, you know, I've been fortunate to have grown up here in New York. I've lived in a diverse part of the world. Most of my friends have been people of color my whole life, my closest friends. So it's like, I don't know, obviously I don't know what you feel like on the inside of your body, but I do know you. Like, I feel like I pay attention to people, and I get to know you, and I know how to love everybody. I know how to do that, you know, and I have been received well by everybody, always, my whole life. You know, like, people have always received me because I feel like, because I connect, you know, I know how to connect.
Because you have an open heart, and you're an open book, and you're honest, you're genuine. That goes a long way.
Yeah, I want you to know me, and I want to know you, so I don't care about anything else. That's, you know, all I care about is I want your soul, you know. I want to be in there, you know, and I want you in here. And that's all I care about. And people don't do that. You know, people are so separate. And they don't, you know, they want to, like, you know, like, I mean, I'm quite sure you could write a great play being who you are. You know, I'm sure you've been through and you experience craziness all the time. Like, some stereotypical horrible shit. Being a woman, being a beautiful woman, being a woman of color, being a Latina. I mean, I can only imagine, you know, that you would write the greatest play ever written if you shared all your experiences. But, you know, you're a joyful person, you know, but I'm sure it's not joy and happiness all the time. I'm sure, you know, I see a lot of you. You're sure you're angry and hurt. You're very sensitive. So we have to take care of one another. That's the bottom line. You know, we have to figure out how to understand that, yes, we have these beautiful different cultures that is what makes us beautiful as a society, but we have to learn to really, truly
work with each other.
Be able to love one another, you know, and care about, like, really care what happens to each other, you know. That's why I love living in the city so much, you know, and being in an urban area, because we have to ride the trains together, we have to walk the street, we have to be together. You know, when you get into the suburbs, it's easy to stay separate. And I think it kind of perpetuates the separation between us, unless you're somebody like you who is so aware of it. But people who don't want to think about it, they don't have to think about it, unless they don't have to get on the A train or the D train every day and deal with everybody, be respectful of one another, and get to know each other. You know, when you walk into the bodega and you meet this guy, maybe he's from the Dominican Republic or he's from Haiti or whatever, and you get to know this guy, you're like, wow, he kind of reminds me of my uncle or my grandfather, except maybe I'm Jewish or Catholic, and maybe I grew up in Kansas and I'm gay or whatever. You know, it's like
we're all connected.
everybody's the same, Everybody's the
Okay.
same. So I don't know. That's what
No,
I'm
but you know,
compelled. Huh?
no, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I'm compelled by is to try to. It actually hurts me, like physically hurts me that we're so separate and that people hate each other so much. Like there's so much hurt and there's so much anger. I feel it. I feel like my somebody really close to me always says you're like this empath. You feel everything. It's like one day your head is going to explode. But that's why I do. That's why I work at the work that I do because I get to get it out of my body. Because yeah, I would probably explode. I would die. I have to get it out. That's why you see like an explosion on stage because I have to get it out of my body. Because
Damn.
you can't carry all this stuff in you because then you do become a terrorist or you die. You become
Right.
something bad if you
Right.
just carry it inside.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's not healthy.
It's human nature too, you know. I just feel like, you know, oh, I don't know. I think you should do something really amazing. I know your play is amazing, but you know, I feel like people people should just listen to you and like-minded people a little bit more. I feel the only time, I mean, look, I do believe we're not alone on this in this universe. So I feel like, you know what? We come together when there's a crisis. We come together, every color under the sun, every color in the color wheel comes together when there's a cause in a concentrated area or a concentrated problem. It seems to be like that's when everyone's guard is down and everyone is just peaceful, when it's for one big cause. But then it's like a rubber band, you know. We all like go back together and separate again until something big happens. Then we come together again, and then the separation happens. And I feel like history does repeat itself, and I understand that this world is not perfect, but I feel almost like, you know, it wouldn't be such a bad idea if this planet was aware that we're not alone, because at least the concentration will be more like, let's unite as humans and let's kind of respect each other, help each other for the for a better, for lack of words, tomorrow, for a better tomorrow, so we can actually have a healthier environment, so we can actually experience each other's cultures. Every culture will benefit if we can just respect each other, get along, and be peaceful. You don't have to hit me, I don't have to hit you, you don't have to rape me, I don't have to rape you. You know, you don't have to kill me for no reason, I don't have to kill you for no reason, you know. If we understood that it's okay, that there's plenty of water to drink on this planet, and there's plenty of food to eat on this planet, and that there's plenty of land for you and I and for your great, 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 great grandchildren to live in, and that we can actually go wash our clothes together, and that we can talk and we can eat together, you know what? This freaking planet would have no issues. Okay? And if politics and government can actually be a little more peaceful, because I feel like government, oh my god, I'm getting into a conversation I shouldn't, but this is probably, I don't know, but this is how I feel. I feel like if the government wasn't so, be controlling in the right places, like, you know, if someone shoots someone, obviously you want to put them in jail and put them away, you know, pay for your mistakes. And I don't believe in mistakes, but pay for your actions. I do believe in that. You have to pay for your actions. You're not gonna get away with it. You know? Yeah, I can't get into this conversation with you because we will both be in trouble right now. You know? But you know what I'm saying? For me, the perfect world would be, you know, it has to start with the people who change the laws and people who are up there in the government system, just acknowledging that we're all the same, and you're not better than I am, I'm not better than you are, that we are human, we're still in this race level, that we still have to kind of come together, unite together. You know, if we can understand that and respect each other's space, we'd be golden right now. We will be great. we can just experience each other's culture, language, food, you know, and take the beauty of what's on this planet Earth. But Allah has been forgotten.
We have a long way to go.
Oh man, you know it. So what do? What do you and I do? We do the best that we can in sharing how we feel, and in an artistically way doing so, in a respectful way. And that's it. That's all we can do.
Well, you know, I look at it like this. Like, I feel like all these issues, they're not going to change in our lifetime. No. But it's our responsibility to do what we can do now to just kind of move it forward to the next generation, and then they move it a little bit, and then eventually it's just like this is our time to do the best that we can, right? Yeah. And we do the best that we can, and we hand it over to the next generation, and it's a little bit higher, and then they take it, and then it's a little bit higher, and it just keeps going until one day it'll be better, and everybody will, you know, stop all the madness. You know, that's what I am an optimist, you know, even though I think it would be weird for people to hear that who know me, because I'm so hyper aware of all the problems that exist. But I am optimistic that we're moving in a better direction. I just know that it's not going to happen in our lifetime. I think we just have to do the best we can and take care of our responsibility, and not think that we can save the world or change the world, because we can't. We can just contribute the best that we can, do the best that we can. And I think if everybody does that, then it'll move a little bit. You know, it's like, you know, there's no more plantations and slave owners. There's no more, you know, there's no more a lot of horrible stuff that there was, that, like, we were so unbelievably stupid as human beings, you know? So we're better, but we ain't good, but we're better than we were. But we have a long way to go. And now, you know, with all the I also believe that, you know, social media, and I think we're just more aware about stuff that's probably been happening forever, but it's just now we can see it as it's happening. It's like, you know, all the terrorism and stuff that's going on in Africa, and stuff that happens in South America all the time, like in Venezuela, and it's like, I think we just see it now. It's not, I don't think it's changed that much, I think, and I don't know. It's just what I feel. I feel like, you know, because of social media, we see everything in real time. Like, we see things as it's happening. Twitter, you know, it's like right now, we just, like, you know, in the past, if you had a friend who lived in London, it was just like an amazing experience to get to talk to them on the phone. It cost so much money. You couldn't just Skype with them, or you couldn't talk to them. We couldn't do this. You know?
We couldn't.
It would have been, like, we would have had to make like a real plan, take time out of our lives to meet somewhere, to do this. You know, it would have been a whole different thing, and then you would have had to record it, and it would have been a different kind of medium. You wouldn't have been able to put it out immediately.
Right.
It would have been really involved, you know. So the same thing is true of, like, bombings and terrorism and all the shit that's happening. Or, you know, if a plane went down like it did recently, you know, where 150 people were killed, we wouldn't have known about that for a while, you know. It's like, and if we did know about it, it would have seemed so far away. But now it feels like it happened to JFK.
Right there.
You know?
Yeah. Right.
It feels like, oh my God. But, you know, really, it's like, it's on the other side of the world. Some guy who was depressed took down a plane, and it's a horrific tragedy. But it feels much more present to us because of the way the world is. So I think that's a good thing and a bad thing. It makes us maybe over fearful of certain things, because fear drives so much. But at the same time, you know, it's a good thing, because maybe it gives us a little bit more impetus to do better, you know, to try, you know, everybody needs to contribute in the best way that they know how. And that doesn't mean, like, you know, you need to feed the homeless every Saturday. It's like, you need to do what you think you do the best, you know. And if that's through your art, or if you're a plumber and you are contributing by going to work on the plumbing at a group home once a month, or anything, you know, it's like, whatever it is, you know. Or if you're just a person who decides to smile and say hello to somebody on the train every morning who doesn't look like you, whatever your contribution is, you need to do that, you know. Just think about what you can do that's not going to ruin your life. Or you don't have to be a superhero, you know, you don't have to be Batman or a Superwoman or whatever. You just have to do something, you know, something, and then we all benefit from it, you know.
Absolutely. I agree with you 1,000,000%, you know. What's really sad is that racism has so many facets, you know. It goes from not just color, you know, it goes from belief to slavery, sexual slavery, which still goes on. It's not, you
Oh
know,
yeah.
it goes all over the place. You know, the people, everything people are buying from mostly Target, Walmart, made in China. You know, you have slave drivers over there. I dealt with that in the fashion industry, and I'm like, people, that's why if something's made, mass marketed, I'm probably not gonna buy it, because I feel like, you know, this is somebody that works in a factory with 1 day off every 3 months, eats
Mm-hmm.
rice every day with vegetables, and they work about 22 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? And they're getting paid about $30
No.
a month. If so, that may be a lot. You know, so for me it's like, oh man, you know, and the fashion industry knows all this, and then you have the sex industry, which they have all these sex slaves that they're from all over the place, women and men who don't want to be in that situation, you know, of being, you know, prostituted out and stuff like that. And then you have religious people who, I mean, look at these princesses who have been locked up forever. The own father locks them up. You know, like, how about, you know, there's everything going on. And people who, oh, it's just so sad. It is so sad what's going on in this world. Even animals. So racism goes from other species to all kinds of levels. It's like so many facets to racism. It's like racism, and then you have all these facets, and everything I just mentioned is all around it. And it's almost like impossible to break, but it is impossible to break. So when you're saying we're a long way from where we need to be, we really are, and it's so unfortunate, because I really truly, in my mind, I always felt like I will get to see peace in this world. You know, I want to get to see that. You know, and the more I see it, it's almost like that's gonna be impossible, Giselle, for you to witness perfection, not perfection, but peace, you know, across the board. You know, so it's sad. It's really, really sad.
Well, you'll see better. You'll see better. I mean, you're already seeing better, but you're, like I said, it's not all going to be fixed in our lifetime, that's for sure. But you do, you know, you're going to see better. Like you see, even like in the hip hop world, I mean, it's been going on for years, where you see like Israeli and Palestinian kids getting together and making hip hop records, and you know, like that kind of stuff is happening. It's underground. There's some amazing things happening. You know, like there are some just absolutely magnificent people in the world doing fantastic things, and we just have, you know, they just have to keep doing that. But you know, there's a lot of horrible stuff going on too, and it's, you know, I think that people are so complex. We're so human. We're so fragile. We're so fucked up that we're always going to be having to check ourselves. But I think it's all about awareness. And that's why I do what I do, to make people aware. You know, like I said at the beginning of us talking, I try to do work that disrupts. I think if we disrupt things every once in a while, that's the best we can do. Because then people stop for a second and go, "Damn, that is kind of messed up." You know, like, and then that changes you. You're changed immediately. You know, that's all we can do. I mean, we can't control everything. You know, we can't. We can't. We can just control our intentions, and we can't even always control our actions. We can control our intentions, because sometimes we're reacting to things that are happening. You know, if you get mad, you scream at somebody because somebody did something to you. I mean, you know, it's like we're humans, you know, but we can intend to do better. And if you intend every day, I just believe that will manifest in positive, light change. You know, like it'll warm all of us. We just have to take the good with the bad. You know, we just have to. You know, I've never been one to be in denial. You know, this is a fucked up place and a hard place to live in, but it's the most beautiful thing to be alive, to, you know,
To feel.
life is, yeah, to feel everything. Like, I love going to a film or something that just makes me sob. You know, sometimes after my shows, I just weep because I've given everything. I just sit backstage and I just cry and it's really because I'm just so tired and I'm so kind of, I feel emotional because I feel the audience, you know, so it just kind of releases everything from me. I think that's beautiful. You know, I think it's like, I love that about us, that we can be emotional beings. We are emotional by nature. People who stop their emotions, like, I don't cry, I don't do this. I just think that's stupid. You know, it's not healthy, and it's not good for any of us. It's good, you know, because how do you feel when you see somebody break down and cry? Or when you see somebody laughing uncontrollably? You feel something. If it's sincere,
right.
You feel it. You know, and I want to feel you all the time. You know, I want to feel. So that's why I'm an artist. That's why you're an artist. That's why people do art, you know.
So what's next with your show, with your play? When is it gonna be available again? When are you gonna start the tour?
Well, first of all, of course, as always happens, I've gotten like a million emails like, oh, damn, the show closed, I want to see it. So I'm thinking of doing maybe one show pretty soon, just one performance. But now I'm just trying to figure out what to do next. Like, I want to do regional theaters around the country. I really want to go to London. I was in London a couple of years ago with my other play, and I want to go back because when I went there a few years ago, the riots were going on in Camp. I was there right in the middle of the riots, so I want to go back when there's a little bit more peace.
Right.
And I want to go. I feel like this play is really relevant. You know, like I want to go to London. But I want to perform in communities. I want to perform in as many places as I can, and I want to have talkbacks. So I just want to create dialogue in as many places as I can. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. I actually, a woman came to one of the shows and asked me to perform at a college, which is pretty cool because a lot of colleges don't like my work because it's too long and I curse too much for them. And so, but she's going to book me. So I just want to try to get to as many people as I can. So I'm trying to get to, I need to figure out, you know, what path I want to take Brooklyn Quartet in, and then figure out a plan. But I feel like the last 2.5 years have been about developing the play, you know, like writing the script. I work with a great dramaturge who I get to bounce it off of all the time, you know, and so the script is in a good place, the play itself is in a good place. I had great collaborators for this run, and so now the play itself is done and ready to go. The words are correct. It's like I can do it anywhere. So now I have to figure out where exactly I want to go and what kind of plan of action I want to take. Because, you know, it would be great if I had a producer behind me just spending a lot of money and getting me tons of press. Like, you know, what I need is like a story in the New York Times or something like that, you know. But I generate the work all by myself a lot. You know, I reach out, I do it all by myself. So I just think I have to be clear on where I want to go and then just get on that journey. And, you know, I don't know if I'll get to where I plan on going, but I know I'll get to a lot of places in between because I always do. You know, like I make plans sometimes and a million other things happen in between, and I don't always get to the plan that I created, but I get to a billion other places that are sometimes even more beneficial, more amazing, you know. So that's what I'm doing now is I'm trying to formulate a plan. I think I'm going to try to reach out to community organizations as opposed to just, I'm going to reach out to all regional theaters around the country. Like I would love to do this. I'd love to do it, first of all, you know, like in Brooklyn, there's a couple of theater companies I would love to collaborate with because it's Brooklyn Quartet, you know. Right. And it takes place in Brooklyn, so it would make sense. But I also would love to go to places like, you know, I did readings all over the country while I was developing this. I went to Seattle, I went to LA, I went to Chicago. I did it because I wanted to get feedback from communities that were outside of my community, you know, from places. I went to Denver. I went to places where I wanted to see how they would receive this work and how much they really understood about it. So I'd like to go back now to a lot of those places with a finished script, a finished play, and share it with them. So I went to Minneapolis. I went to a lot of different places. I want to go back, so I want to see. We'll see what the universe provides. Who's gonna
Invest.
help to enable to be able to do this, because it takes money too. I gotta. So I've raised a lot of money, but I don't want to have to continue. I do a lot of kind of crowdsourcing. Like, I have supporters who just support me, and I've raised a lot of money over the years for my work, but I kind of, I want to find other types of resources to be able to do it. I would love the challenge of making millions of dollars doing this, but it's not. I don't expect to make tons of money. I just want to make enough money to live and to provide myself with the opportunity to be able to do it, to continue to do it. So I need to find resources too at this point. And I'm very confident that I'll be able to find everything, everything always seems to show up because I know that my work is sincere and my intentions are good. It's not like I'm just not trying to be a celebrity. I have no interest in. I don't ever even think of any of that. I just think of, I want to share the work. So things just seem to. I've been very lucky. I've been very fortunate. I've had people help, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see what the universe provides from here. I'm just going to keep doing the work. That's one thing is for sure. I will keep doing this for as long as I'm on this earth. I'm not going to stop.
Oh, I can see that, but you always have to make sure to let me know what's going on, because I always want to put it out there on my publication and help out in whichever way I can to support your work, because I do believe in you. Of course I believe in you. Otherwise I would not be sitting here. But I just feel like, man, you can really take this to the global market. If a few companies can sponsor you, pay for all the expenses while you concentrate on what you have to do, and booking you, in all these, just tour Brooklyn Quartet, that to me, I see it. I see it happening.
That's what I really want. That's actually my goal, is to tour it and to be able to create dialogue in as many places as possible. Like, can you imagine me doing this in a place like China? Or how about somewhere in the Middle East where they're constantly at war because of, their differences, but they're so the same. Like, the Palestinians and the Israelis are the exact same people.
I know. I know.
They're the same people. Or like, London. I want to do it in a place like, I want to bring people from Brixton to people in Camden to people in like in different parts of London where, it's kind of a segregated place that's so integrated. It's like the whole world. It's one of the most diverse places in the world, but they don't really come together. Or when I've been there a few times, I've noticed that it's not like, New York is a very segregated town in many ways too, but it's also the most integrated city in the world. Mm-hmm. But, gentrification is changing a lot of that too for, mostly, in good ways and many bad ways too, obviously. But, I just want to bring it to as many places as I can so that I bring everybody together into a room. I always feel like, we are all here together right now. You might hate each other, but we're all here in the same room together. Let's experience this and let's talk about it. And then I feel like when you get to know somebody, it's just so much harder to hate. When you really know somebody, you know that they care about things, that they have a family, that they have friends, that they like to go bowling, or they like to go watch baseball games, or they love music, or they love to cook, or they, how they laugh, how they smile. When you get to really know somebody, it's just, it's harder to generate that kind of hatred,
Very difficult.
Say again?
It would be very difficult. Because you're invested already in those emotions.
Exactly. Like, you might not be in love with them where you want to, be in a relationship with them, but it's hard to hate them. And so that's what I want to do. I want to bring people in a room together. And, I want it to be big. I want to perform in big spaces. Like, Brooklyn Quartet in a Broadway house, I think would be so important because, I'd have like 1,800 people in the same room telling this story. And all of a sudden, all of these people are going to leave having received Esther St. Jamal. They know every one of these kids. They know them. You know that they know them. I mean, we all know these kids because, I wrote Brooklyn Quartet really for this reason, because I want everybody who sees that play to see themselves in all of the characters. Like if I'm white, I know that there's a lot of me in Saint who's black, or there's actually a lot of me in Esther Alvarez who's a girl. She's a woman, or I know that you probably watched the play and you thought, I can relate to Jamal. He's an ambitious, good guy. He's trying to do the right thing, but he's kind of crazy. Or you could probably relate to Saint, who's been through a lot. You've been through a lot, right? He's been through a lot. We all should see ourselves in each of the characters, not just in one of the characters, but in all of them. It's like cross-referencing our humanity, and that's what I want to do with this work.
Genius.
That's what I wanted.
That's genius.
Thank you. Well,
yeah, that's why I said twisted. You're twisted and genius. I love it. No, I love it in a positive manner because it brings that kind of element, that train of thought, and it does. You have to bring this. You have to bring this to the global market only because people should, you disarm them. The first 15 minutes, I was like, okay. I was lost. I was like, what's going on? What's going on? And I kept waiting for the other actors to come out. And I was like, okay, half an hour, 40 minutes. I'm like, holy cow, he's on his own. He's really doing this on his own. And then I was like, it just brings the element. I guess the biggest message that I got from your play is, concentrating on those. The message that I got was it's so twisted, but yet I get it because I'm like that. You know what I mean? I don't want to give it away because I want people to actually go see it. So I'm not going to say much. I'm just saying the message is powerful. The message, it'll leave you thinking, okay, what if, why so different, without saying, I can't explain it because I don't want to give it away. I don't, because I feel there's a long life to this play, and I want people to actually go and experience, and it is twisted. It is so twisted. I still have questions from the actual play. I came out of there and I was like, honey, but what happened here? And he's like, Giselle, I don't know. Ask your friend what happened. I was like, I'm going to have to ask him because I'm still thinking. Well,
I like the question of why. I think it's clear what happens in the play. We see what happens. They're very tangible situations.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we always have to ask, why did that happen? Or why did it happen to him and not her? Or why does she have to go through what she went through? Do men go through what Esther Alvarez went through? Maybe they do. Why did one of them? Why did he lose his leg?
Oh, don't give it away.
But I'm just saying, why was somebody put in a certain circumstance as opposed to the other? Why does that happen? Because there are reasons, There are reasons that we are placed in certain situations, and usually it is because of sometimes it's racial and sometimes it's socioeconomic. Sometimes, but why? But then why is when it's socioeconomic, when it's money, why does one family seem to have less authority than another family? And has it been like that through generations? And has a certain person had less opportunity, or does he expect now less opportunity? Because it's I think, black people, I don't have any grandparents or great grandparents who are slaves. I mean, I have people who went through the Holocaust, but I don't have any people who are slaves. I have friends whose grandparents were slaves or great grandparents. It's in. I feel like it's in their cells. It's in their skin. I'm so connected to my grandmother, even though I was adopted. My grandmother was like my blood. I don't even know what blood means. But she felt like blood. So I feel like there's so much about me, in my skin, that is my grandmother. And it's the same with you. So the thing is, if you grew up a family that was slaves, you're gonna have something in you that I don't have in your skin, at the cellular level, Or if you've been through, whatever the history is of your family from the Dominican Republic, or it's you're going to have certain things in you that have been passed down from generation to generation that are in your cells. It's in you at the cellular level of who you are. And that's what's interesting about what happens in the play. It's like, people they're alive because sometimes we expect our life to be a certain way too. And we have to break that pattern too. And that's why we have to help one another. Like, that's why I do believe in reparations, and I do believe that white people have to acknowledge their privilege because, people of color have had to endure things that we need to now say, you know what? There's stuff about you that's fucked up because you don't even know why you're fucked up because it's in you. You have to overcome something that you're not even conscious of. So that's why as a society, we needed to create affirmative action. Or we need to create, certain amount of women have to be hired. Even if maybe a man is more qualified for a job, we have to give the job to a woman because for a long time, women weren't even allowed to work.
Right.
So, and there's a lot of women who still feel that way. They feel like, hey, I'm a woman, I have to defer. But it's like, no, you don't anymore. Like, you don't. But they still feel like they do because that's the way it was. So we have to deal with that, the realities of our physical and emotional selves. Like, we're still recovering from our history, So we don't have to keep rehashing our history, but we have to acknowledge that this exists and that we have to create a more equitable world. We have to create a world where police officers are not afraid of somebody just because they're black. We have to figure it out.
I hear you. There's a lot. The more I listen to you, we're so far away from where we really should be. It's kind of sad. There's so much that still needs to be fixed, and it's like, oh man, if we take each
we do the best we can. We just have to talk about it, and then we have to do something about it. But just do whatever we can, and then it took a long time to get fucked up. It's going to take a long time to fix it. But you and I just talking about it like this that's life. That gives me everything for myself. Like the fact that you even you're listening to me. A lot of people are like, oh, Jesus, there's Rock. I don't want to hear this anymore. It's like, here comes Rock. I'm not the guy you want to take to a party. Like, oh, God, there's Rock.
Oh, my God.
Nobody can tell any jokes tonight,
Really? Is it like that?
Well, it's like if somebody uses the N-word or whatever, somebody makes a racist joke, I'm not going to just sit there and go laugh about it. I'm going to be like, I'm going to make you talk about it. Like, why do you think that's funny?
Oh my God, you're so funny.
Or somebody refers to a woman in a derogatory way. I'm like, well, don't you understand that you really are perpetuating this thing that exists that will never allow Giselle to get past people's perception of the way they look at you. Like, they see this beautiful woman. So that's it. They know who you are and they know where you belong in their life, but they're never going to allow you to be an entrepreneur, a powerful businesswoman, an intelligent woman. You know what I mean? They won't. There are some people who could not possibly allow that for you.
If something really bad happens right now, for example, everyone's money is taken away, everything. I feel in my heart the people who are going to survive are going to be the artists. I always tell my family. Right, you make something out of nothing.
Yeah.
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 And my
we sacrifice. If you're really committed to your craft, you sacrifice. Like I was saying before, I don't really have any balance in my life. I mean, I can't possibly do what I do without spending the time that I do it. I mean, I don't have to do the type of art that I do, but with what I've chosen to do, it takes all of me. And I nobody can argue with me about that. I know maybe if I was more talented, it wouldn't take so much of my time, but I'm using the talents that I have, my gifts, and I know what it requires. So it requires what it requires. But what do I sacrifice? I sacrifice it's hard for me to ever have a relationship. It's hard for me to just go do things for fun. I can't just go take vacations. I put every penny that I make, I put into my work, everything. And so you know, we sacrifice a lot, but I wouldn't have it any other way. You know, it's like I love what I do, and I love my life. You know, I would love to have other things too,
Right.
but I have a friend who just turned 100 years old actually, and
Oh, congratulations. Happy birthday.
he just turned 100. He always says to me, you know, Rock, you have no idea what's going to happen today. You have no
Good.
idea. Your life can. We don't know what's up today.
Man, I'm gonna do anything I want to do today because I don't know if tonight, not even tomorrow, I don't know if tonight I don't know what's gonna happen the next minute. You know, and
Yeah.
I don't take life for granted. You know, my tagline is life is wonderful. And people are like, okay, you know, they think I'm crazy. And maybe I am crazy, but I do feel life is wonderful. As bad as this earth, no, as bad as some people are on this planet, I also feel like, dude, where else are you go? We don't know anything better or worse, I guess, you know. But where else can you go where you have sun, you have water, you have beautiful flowers, that everything is so pleasing to the eye on this earth. Everything is so pleasing to our eyes. Everything boils down to this and feeling, you know? So I feel like where else can we start to experience this is great. This planet is amazing. You know, it's just bad people out there, you know what I mean? But I don't take that for granted. Like, look, if I die tomorrow, don't cry for me. I tell people, they're like, oh, you're morbid. And I'm like, I'm serious. I've done everything I wanted to do up to this point. Up to this breathing moment, I've done everything I've ever wanted to do. So if I collapse after our interview, just say, you know what? She told me she was happy. I die with all happiness. I'm ready to go any minute, any second, any time because I'm confident in everything I've done. Every moment that I'm able to breathe and talk about, which just happened a second ago, I'm grateful for. That's why I refuse to do what other people want me to do. They're like, oh, you could be making a lot of money if you go on social media and you gossip. And I'm like, dude, no negativity, no bullying, no gossiping in my digital publication. I'm not going to bring that. And I'm definitely not going to share it to the world. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So my contribution is this. And I do feel as artists, we have such a disadvantage. It's like, if you don't make it as an artist, you are deemed as like you've done nothing with your life. And I'm not just talking about an artist who's delusional, who's sitting at home doing absolutely nothing with their life. I'm talking about artists like you and I that bust our asses off. And if we don't make it, people are always going to look at us and say, oh, you know, just an artist, you know, whatever. Which is so unfortunate because we are doing everything in our power to, because we're happy, we're genuine about it, but we still don't have that respect. So,
Well, to me, it's like, what is making it? You know, like making it is
there you
doing
go.
your work every day. You know, it's like making, I had friends who used to say, I know you're going to make it one day. You know what? In the music industry, I work with some of the biggest artists in the world. I made it. You know, I had a lot of money for a while. I mean, make it. I've done a lot of work in the theater. I've worked with some big people, and it's like, but what is make it? You know, it's like, I approach my work every day. You know, I appreciate the opportunity to do it. I mean, look, we all want to make a lot of money. We all want to have that kind of energy to be able to do whatever we want. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But making it is for other people to decide and to consider celebrity and all that bullshit. It's like that's for everybody else. That's not for me personally. Like I get up every day, I do my work, and I try to contribute in the best way that I can. And that's what I'm doing. I'm making work. That's what I'm making. You know, the rest of it is for your perception or your opinions. I don't care about. I mean, I've been very fortunate. You know, people who know me for my whole life, they'll tell you I never cared about what anybody thought about me. I mean, I'm very sensitive. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do care because it does. I'm hurt easily, but it's never changed the way I do things. You know, like I do care, but it doesn't have any effect on the way I approach my life or what I do. Because I'm not one of these. Like I know so many people who are like, I don't give a fuck. I give zero fucks or whatever. They don't care about anything. And I'm like, you are so full of shit. You know, you care about everything. You know, it's like we all care.
Of
But
course.
some people do let the way people, some people do let other people's perception guide the way they go about their life. And I never do that. You know, I do what I feel is right. And I do listen to people, but at the end of decisions of what I feel serves my heart and what I feel is my best opportunity to give of myself. Because I feel like that's why we're here, to give of ourselves. I mean, your job, what you do, that's all you do is you give of yourself. You know, it's, I don't see, you're not writing about you. You know, and there would be nothing wrong with writing about you either, by the way, because you've accomplished so many things. To write about you is actually inspirational. To talk about where you came from and who you are, and I'm sure it's an amazing story. But the point is, you're doing something that's contributing, and I feel like that's my intention. Like, you know, I want people to know who I am. You know, I'm proud of my work. You know, like I work with, you know, I know Reggie Gaines, who wrote Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk. He's a great playwright. He once said to me, "You need to learn to be proud that you wrote that shit. Like you should say, I wrote this motherfucker. Like Brooklyn Quartet, I did it." And
Wow.
it's harder for me to be that way, but he's like, you should be proud. You wrote it. Nobody else wrote it. Nobody did anything. You did it. Be proud. You know, he worked with George C. Wolfe, who's one of the legends of the theater world. And that's what George C. Wolfe said. He goes, when they did Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk, he said to Reggie, be proud of what you did. It's your work. Be proud. Because the great work that you did is contributing to so many people. It's making people happy. It's making people feel inspired. So what's wrong with being proud? But, you know, that's how we make it. We feel good about ourselves.
Right.
You know, we feel like you're proud. Like you just said, you just spent 10 minutes going, I do what I want to do because I'm grateful because life is beautiful. So you are proud of your life. And it's, so you look like you're proud. You know, you're like this bright light. So it's clear. Some people are like, kind of like, you know, you can tell they're not happy, you know. And it's kind of sad because it's going to go by fast, you know. Like, I've lost people in my life quick. You know, one of my best friends died when he was young, and I lost a lot of people in my life, you know. And one thing I know, death is a very powerful part of life. And it can be a very beautiful part of life, too. But the most beautiful part of it is when somebody dies who has, I always say theirs has been a life well lived. And if you can do that, then you made it. Right. You know, like if I die, I don't want to die ever. I want to live to be thousands of years. But you know, it's like if people, I want to leave some kind of legacy. I don't have children. I'm not going to have children. So my work is my legacy. So I want people to say, you know, he did something. He left something here that's going to endure. That's going to, like I have music. I've written 600 songs. I've gotten these plays. I've written poems. I've left something. I'm leaving something here. Right. And I hope people, you know, can say like he did something. He didn't just take up space. You know, he didn't use air for free. He did something. He paid for it somehow. You know.
But that's what makes this life so wonderful. Is just that's what I'm saying. Life is really truly wonderful, and people don't get that. When I say, I'm like, well, life is wonderful, and they're like, oh my God, what bubble are you living in? And I'm like, dude, you're breathing right now, right? You're alive. You're breathing. You're good right now, right? So life is wonderful, and it's just like, just. Life shouldn't be this difficult, really. Life shouldn't be that difficult, you know, like let's say, I'm sorry?
It's hard. It's hard, so you gotta have fun, you have to enjoy.
You have to.
It's not all that deep. We're just like a speck of sand on this big, huge beach, you know, we're like one little tiny little speck.
I know. And look, if you have to get up and go to work every single day, a 9 to 5, a regular job outside of your passions, which could be the art or the music or sculpting, whatever it is, you know, then go do it proudly. It's like whatever you do, do it with pride, do it with love. Because you know what? Every minute, every second counts. It's pretty awesome though. I'm so happy that, you know, we've met and I got to experience a part of you, which is your artistry, your talents, and your play, you know. What are you like outside of your play? Like what are you like as a like, you know? I know you love to listen and you love to converse and stuff, but what is your day like? What do you do? You know,
What I
what?
do?
Yeah.
I run every day.
Okay.
I'm like, I like to take care of my. I just love to run, and I work. I write all the time, and I rehearse. And I love music, so I listen. I play. I'm a musician, so I play guitar and piano. Um,
That's so
I,
cool.
honestly, I don't have much of a life outside of this, but I love to cook. I love food. I love just wandering around the city. I love being on the trains and just riding around. Um, I like getting out of the city a lot. I love going to the beach or going upstate. Um, and I love being around people that I like. I think one of my most favorite things is sharing a meal with somebody who I really love. Like
Oh,
when I get together with friends, I love to sit and share a meal with somebody in a good restaurant. And most of the good restaurants are these little out of the way dives that people don't know about. But
mm.
I love doing that. I mean, I'm pretty. I don't do much. I love I was an athlete my whole life, so I do love sports. But I'm not a big sports fan that much anymore because I feel like professional sports become more about money than anything else. But I still love it. I love that I live so close to Yankee Stadium. I grew up. My grandfather was an usher at Yankee Stadium, so I grew up in that stadium. I actually was in Yankee Stadium before I could walk. He used to take me to work with him in a baby stroller, and he'd go hustle seats. So I love sports. I love the Knicks, even though they suck. I love the Giants. I do. I love sports, but I don't watch so much anymore.
Right.
Um, I and I love seeing great films. Um, I'm pretty, I spend way too much time with myself. That's for sure. I don't really spend much time with people, but mainly because I don't really have much time, and also because I think that I am so preoccupied with my work. I think it's hard for people sometimes, to spend that much time with me because it's all I really think about. And also, I choose to spend so much time with myself because my work requires so much. So, but I like things that everybody likes. I love driving anywhere. Like just going far away. I like visiting people. Um, so I live a pretty simple life. I mean, I just work, and also I travel a lot with my work,
Right.
and I spend so much time with my work that my work is literally my life.
That's
I would
great.
say, yeah. I mean, it is my life. I spend 90% of my waking, well, 80% of my waking hours are working. I run every day because I feel like if I don't run, I get really depressed. So, because I spend so much time alone, so I run, and running for me is like, people are like, oh, you're so dedicated. But it's not that I'm so dedicated. I love to run. Like, it makes me feel like my body works. I'm so grateful. Sometimes when I run, I think, oh my God, my heart works. Like I can do this. My muscles work. My bones are not breaking. Like I'm healthy.
That's so
Thank God.
good.
I feel good about it. I'm a nutrition freak. I drink wheatgrass juice every day. I have a coconut every day. I eat pretty much only organic food. I cook 99% of the time. I cook for myself because I don't know what the hell's in the food at a restaurant or
That's like us.
I eat only real food. I love chocolate. I'm like a chocolate freak. Dark chocolate, though.
I know. I know.
But also, you know what? So I'm a health nut, but I'm like a pizza connoisseur. Like, I
Ooh.
know, I am pizza man. Like, I know all the best pizza. I love to explore a city for the best pizza. So maybe I eat pizza once a month, or maybe once even 2 months. But when I eat it, I make sure it's really
The
good
best.
pizza.
Do
So
you
I know
eat
all
one
the best.
slice or you take a pie?
No, I just eat a couple of slices. It depends. If I'm with somebody, maybe we'll get a pie if I have like 3 or 4 people. But usually I'll eat 2 slices or something like that. But I make sure I go to good, and I know the good, like the little out of the way places. I love Indian food. Ooh, I love Indian food. Oh, you know what I love? I love Chino Latino food. The
Like
little,
Cuban Chinese food?
yes.
Gotcha. delicious.
I love that, even though it's not very good for me. But I love it. It's good for my soul.
Have
So
fun, enjoy it. Who cares?
Every once in a while I have to eat it, and I love ice cream. I hardly ever eat ice cream, but I love good ice cream.
What's your favorite ice cream brand?
Talenti Sea Salt Caramel.
That's the one with the brown top, the gelato?
Yes.
From Texas?
I don't know if it's from Texas, but it's called Talenti.
I think
And
that's the one.
they have this flavor that's called sea salt caramel.
I just had that the other day.
Oh my god, it's like complete orgasm.
It's really good. Oh my god. That's gelato. That's gelato though. Ice cream, I'm all over Ben and Jerry's and then Haagen-Dazs. Oh my god.
I like Haagen-Dazs because it's got just a few ingredients. Like Haagen-Dazs chocolate I love.
Me too. That's my favorite chocolate one. The Haagen-Dazs chocolate. The Dutch chocolate. It's so delicious.
Yeah, I love that
and
too.
the dulce de leche. Those are my two favorite Haagen-Dazs. Dulce de leche and the chocolate one. But then I'm a Ben and Jerry's girl.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, totally. They have the most amazing flavors you would die for.
Although when I was a little kid, I used to love White Castle. I don't even know how I'm alive. I ate so much White Castle. But it was when I was a kid. I used to go to White Castle and then go to Carvel for dessert.
Oh, so Carvel cake!
I'm like, how am I still alive? You know, how did I not die from eating all that food?
You didn't die.
My body can't handle that kind of food anymore.
Dude, I had White Castle once in my whole life, and it tastes so good, but the afterwards was not good. It was a very bad experience. I was like, never again. Ever. You know? I'm not a healthy person like you. I love my food. I eat whenever I want to. You know, but Rock Wilk, oh my god, thank you so much for spending some time with me here today, chatting and discussing a lot of great topics. It's been such a great pleasure talking with you and listening to your perspective on life and your play, which was so amazing. Thank you so much for inviting us. Just wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and letting us into your world a little bit. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a privilege and so different than any interview that I've done because you spent so much time with me and I really appreciate that.
Aww.
So thanks.
You're very welcome, Rock Wilk. It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, really. I'm so happy to have you with us, you know, and you're such an amazing talent, such a great writer and an amazing actor. I can't believe it. This was all live. It was like, whoa, a whirlwind of characters and just so amazing to see someone that can hop from one character to another and so successful at it and so professional at it. It was just so amazing. You're a real true actor. You are as great as they are and they come. So I'm so happy to have met you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Until next time, yes?
Yes. Many more times, I'm sure.
Thank you, Rock Wilk. See you soon.
Bye.
Adios.
Adios.
Adios.